Welcome to Boss Your Brain and a Business. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to get off the content hamster wheel. If you feel like all you do is create content and it's burning you out, this episode is for you. Let's get you off this wheel. All right, I am Coach Kim. Hello. I am a certified life and business mindset coach for brilliant Christian coaches, and I simply help them make more money and have more impact in their lives and businesses using two powerful things they already possess: their thoughts and beliefs. And we're going to help you get off that content hamster wheel by looking at your thoughts and beliefs. All right, are you ready for this? Let's go. All right. Are you ready to get off the content hamster wheel? Do you feel like that's all you do? You're just constantly putting out content and it's burning you out. And this is the state of the industry right now, is what I see. I see many people on this wheel and they're like, let me off. They're like, let me off. And so in this episode, we're going to help you. But just so we're clear, how we help you on the Boss Your Brain and Business show is we help you by stepping into your role as a boss of your brain. And so, what does that mean? Well, when you understand the brain hierarchy and what's happening when you think a thought, everything you say and do is first a thought, and you control your thinking. Right? You give your brain the thoughts to think. That comes from you. Okay? You get to program the thoughts in your brain. So you are the boss of your brain. Okay? You are the boss of your brain. And so the way we help you here on this show is we empower you to step into that role, to take control over your thoughts, knowing that all of your actions are rooted in your thoughts. Okay? All of your actions are rooted in your thoughts. So if you're on a content hamster wheel, then we need to look at your thinking. Okay? Because here's the thing: what you think is the problem isn't the problem. What you think is the problem. All right? I know that's a play on words, but we have to know that if you're on a content hamster wheel, you think that's the problem. But really, what's the problem is how you're thinking about content. Okay? How you're thinking about content is the problem. Because here's the thing: if you're on a content hamster wheel, we really want to look at who put me there. Can we have heart to heart? Who put me on the content hamster wheel? Has anybody ever asked us that question? Who put you on that wheel? Who? Oh, that person in that course. They said, oh, I see. Yes, there was a course. It said do 5 reels a day. It said do 3 tweets. It said do a Facebook post, live stream. Okay, so that course, that person put you on that content hamster wheel. Maybe, maybe not. Right? But we really do want to investigate, like, why am I on a content hamster wheel to begin with? And we think we're on a content hamster wheel because of our actions, that we're just constantly putting out content. But I submit to you again, what you think is the problem isn't the problem. It's what you think that's the problem. So we need to look at how you're thinking about content, because there are many people that are doing 3 times, 5 times, 10 times the output as you, and they don't have the thoughts that they're on a hamster wheel, right? They might be fueled by that. They might be lit up by that. And so it is not anything ever outside of us that creates our feelings and how we're feeling. Okay? What creates our feelings, our emotion, how we're feeling is always our thoughts. Okay, super. So let's get into this. So, the way I'm going to help you with your thinking, with your thoughts about content, the way I'm going to help you is by looking at problem solution thinking. Okay. Problem solution thinking. So we're going to do a little bit of problem solution thinking, differentiating between the two. And then we're going to get into helping you get off the content hamster wheel. Okay. So here's an example. I have a problem, and that problem is I'm hungry. Okay. So I want to solve my hunger problem. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at 2 time periods of how I would solve my hunger problem. Okay? So 100 years ago and then 2023. So 100 years ago, how would I solve my hunger problem? Okay? Now, since about back then, most people, like over 95%, like a very big amount of people, were agrarian back then, right? So it was farm life. So 100 years ago, the way that I solved my hunger problem was that I went on my farm, I gathered up my chicken, my eggs, my berries, my vegetables, whatever I had prepared for my family. I gathered that up. I prepared it. I did all the necessary things to get it ready to be consumable. I cooked it, and then we ate. Okay? It's a very simplified version, but so much more goes into that, right? There's the whole sowing and gardening and planting and all of that stuff, right? But over 100 years ago, that's how I solved my hunger problem. Okay? Agriculture, farm life, literally creating my food from the ground, getting it ready for us to eat it, preparing it, killing it, right? And cooking it. Okay? Now, how would I solve my hunger problem in 2023? Now, of course, there are some variations depending on where you are in the world and where you live, but for most of us, the food problem has been solved. So we can go to a grocery market and there are aisles upon aisles of ingredients and food and things that we can buy. Why? Because someone has solved the food problem for us. They figured out how to not have us be the one that's creating it and killing it and cooking it. They have solved that problem. So we're no longer an agrarian culture. We no longer have to do that unless you want to. There are some people that still do that. But for the majority, now that number is flipped, where the food problem is solved. We don't have to think about it. We can walk into the grocery store. We can get something off of the shelf. I could also do DoorDash if I wanted to. Okay? So I want you to see that there's the same problem. I'm hungry, but 100 years ago, I'm solving it differently than I would be solving it today. Okay? The food problem has been solved for me. I don't have to grow my own food. Okay? I don't have to use 100-year-old strategies. Okay, is that making sense? I don't have to use 100-year-old strategies. Now, let us shift to a different problem. Okay? This problem is leads for your business. Now, 100 years ago, I don't think it was a lead problem. Could be. It looks different. Like, yeah, where can I get my cows? Where are we getting the next cows from? Where are we getting the next chickens from? Right? Do we have any leads? Do we have any prospects? But let's just go back maybe 50 years. Okay? And so, how would we solve a lead problem 50 years ago? Okay, you want to think about that. And so 50 years ago, we possibly were solving our lead problem by talking to people, leaving our house, leaving, I was about to say leaving our farms, but just leaving our homes, right? Like probably didn't have, well, probably didn't, we didn't have internet, computers, right? Like just cell phones and things like that. So we had to get out of our house. Okay, go down to the marketplace, stand around, meet people, have these conversations, right? Build relationships, get to know people. This is the long game back then. And so we could say about 50 years ago, the way we were solving our lead problem was just talking one on one with people and creating deep relationships. How are we solving the lead problem today? 2023. Now, since that time, there have been so many advances, so many, right? So many advances to solve the lead problem. So just like with the food problem, right? Why would I wreck my brain on growing food unless there is some shortage or a reason why I have to? That problem has been solved. I don't have to resolve the food problem. Okay, I'm in 2023. I'm no longer 100 years ago. I no longer have to solve that problem unless, there's something worldwide going on. And so when we look at a lead problem, so many advances have been made. They've went from, okay, you got to get out of your house, you got to meet people, right? Everyone knows everyone, like strangers, really, like you learn to become family and friends. And so now here we are in 2023. And so while there are a variety of ways to solve this problem, if you are an online business owner, right, and you're leveraging your time, you're leveraging your resources, and you are availing yourself to the entire world, your lead problem is solved by creating content. I just want that to settle in for a second. You don't have to resolve the lead problem. It actually has been solved for you already. Why? Because there are many people that have went ahead of you and they figured out in order to get leads for people to know, like, and trust you and feel comfortable to go to the next level and inquire about your product, creating content has become a very effective and viable way of creating leads. There are frameworks, there are processes. It works. Right? There's podcasts, there's YouTube, there's long form, there's short form, there's even in person. There's so many things you can do. But what we're trying to show you here is that the lead problem has been solved. And we don't have to recreate the wheel, right? We don't have to resolve this problem. So, okay, wanted to give you that problem solution thinking because many times we get in our businesses and we want to recreate the wheel, right? And I'll see this from clients. They'll be like, is there any other way? Somewhat like, Jesus praying in the garden. He's like, Father, let this cup be removed. Is there any other way I can do this without doing this? And they all want to know, is there any other way I can generate leads for my business without talking to a human being? This is why ads become a very attractive option, right? So they want to recreate the wheel, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. If I wanted to go and learn how to grow my own food, if I want to go and learn how to grow my own food, there are resources that abound and I could do that, right? And there are people that do that. Okay, so there's a small percentage of people that do that. But I don't have to resolve this problem because it's already been solved for me. And so when we look at how we're thinking about content, I want you to investigate your thoughts. How are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about, whoa, my lead problem has been solved in a very brilliant way? And one solution that's available to me is creating content. That is a solution. I have a solution to my problem. Because many times we're not looking at our content as a solution, we're looking at our content as a problem. What if you were to change how you thought about content? That would fuel you to show up differently when you create it. If I'm looking at content as something that's burning me out, something I don't enjoy doing, right? If I have a lot of thoughts about it that are not helpful to me or that don't serve me, and then when I show up to that, it's going to be a chore. It's going to be a task. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be like, I don't want to do this. Is there any other way? But if you were to just look back a few years, they'd probably be like, you're kidding. That's all you have to do is create belief shifting post with call to actions, and that gets people reaching out to you for real. I don't believe that happens in the future, right? This is someone 50 years ago thinking it just can't be that easy. Yeah, we've solved it. And so you want to investigate your thinking. If you're looking at content as a problem and not a solution, that will change the fuel you're bringing to your content creation. Yes, there are frameworks that can make it easier. Yes, there is brilliance out there that people have where their content creation is streamlined and it's not a chore, but still it's your thoughts about doing it in the first place. So we want to begin to look at content creation as a solution. I look at it as, whoa, I get to do this. I don't have to leave my house. I can sit and I can deeply think about my people, and I can get in tune to their problems. And I have an opportunity because heaven hasn't shut up. Heaven's still speaking. I can go to heaven about my person and I can get heaven's perspective and I can share that. Like, I get to do that. So I have totally different thoughts about content. I don't put myself on a wheel. I'm actually trying to outwork Jesus, right? If you know anything about John 21:25, it says he did so much that if they were to write everything, that the world could contain all the books. So I'm just trying to outdo him. I want to get to heaven and be like, I tried. I had a daily YouTube guide and I had this email list and I showed up daily on Clubhouse and I just did all this content, all because I'm trying to outwork Jesus, right? So those thoughts serve me. I don't look at I'm on the hamster wheel. I look at I'm trying to outwork Jesus because he says we'll do greater works. And I look at my content as a body of work out into the world. It's a body of work. Heaven has not stopped speaking, and I will not stop speaking either. I will continue to release what heaven gives me. So I have a lot of thoughts that serve me, but this is about you. So let's continue. All right. So that's the first thing I want you to do. I want you to investigate if you're looking at content as a problem and not a solution. It's going to change the way you show up. Now, the second thing that I notice from being on a content hamster wheel, those that think they're on a content hamster wheel, is that they aren't in the done place. I call it the already done place as it concerns their business. They're not there where the result is done. The clients, they're done. I am not creating content to create the clients because the clients are already done. I'm creating the content because that's what I do as a coach that shows up for her clients. All right? There's a big difference here. And so you want to get into the place where clients rather are done. Because if not, it's easy to get into this hustle mode or being on the hamster wheel because like my content has to create the client. But if you're like, wait a minute, the client's already done. So I get to show up and I get to create this body of work and this content that can lead my client along their journey in life, right? Which ultimately will include investing in you for help. And so you want to get to where the result is done. Okay, so there's two parts to this thinking. When you get to where the result is done, your focus now becomes on the process. You're just the person that shows up and you execute the process. What's that process? Again, the lead generation, which we figured out content creation is a very viable form of creating leads. I have a lot of thoughts about lead gen too, which I'm pretty sure I'll be sharing in later episodes, but I don't even think of it as lead gen. Lead gen is a result of how I think about sharing my voice. But that's another topic for another day. All right. So you're in the done place as far as the result. Now you focus on the process because that's done. And here's what you have to know about focusing on the process, which is going to take you off of that hamster wheel. The process makes you rich, not the result. So this is something we teach in our programs. And it's a beautiful mindset to serve you. And I want to offer it to you. I'm going to say it again. The process makes you rich, not the outcome. And so when I look at content creation, it's just the process that I'm in. Because not only is that content serving my person, but it's also working on me. I get to distill my thoughts down and I get to form them in a way that I help myself get clear so I can communicate clearly to my person. And so this process is also working on you and it's also working on your people. But here's the thing, the result isn't making you rich. It's the process that's making you rich. Why? Because the process is how we usher in that result. So this changes how we look at content creation. When we see it's just a process and the result is done. So I get to focus on this process in my business. So I hope what we shared with you today was able to shift your thinking. We want to give you an opportunity to join us in our Coaches by Grace Accelerator. We're going to put this up on the screen for you here so you can join us in the Coaches by Grace Accelerator. It is my monthly membership for Christian coaches. And so we're going to help you renew your mind and your thoughts. We're going to help you sign clients. We teach client acquisition by belief, your thoughts and your beliefs. And I hope during this episode, you see how important your thoughts are. If you're just like, oh my gosh, this is just so much work. I got to create posts. I got to do this. And you're not in the done place with the result. And you're not showing up to your work like this process is making me rich. Like I get to do this. I get to serve my clients. I get to create this body of work. Like it's going to be very hard and difficult for you, right? So this here is the page. There's a link around this video that will that you can just click on so you can get into the Coaches by Grace Accelerator. And so I pray that we were able to help you shift your thoughts about being on a content hamster wheel, right? It's the process that's making you rich, not the outcome. I want you to think about this, right? You're like, okay, I'm off that content hamster wheel. Where's your voice being amplified? Where's your voice being shared if you stop sharing your content? Is it worth it for you to learn how to articulate the solution heaven has given you to people's problems? You start focusing on you have a solution that you get to operate in your business, which is content creation, so you can help solve other people's problems. All right, that's what we have for you today. If we can support you in any way, definitely just leave a comment. But join us in the Coaches by Grace Accelerator so we can help you. All right. So we can help you grow your coaching business. Subscribe to this show, like this video, and hit those notifications. All right, we'll see you in the next episode.